I used to think productivity was about one thing and one thing only. How much did I accomplish today? How many things did I get finished? How many plates did I keep spinning in the air? How many things I could say yes to and follow through on no matter how much it took out of me? And honestly, I was really good at that version of productivity, only in crisis mode. I literally needed the pressure and the deadlines, the adrenaline and the dopamine, because without it, my ADHD brain just would not engage. And so I learned to live slightly behind, slightly stressed, slightly on fire because that's how I could function. That's what it took for me to actually get things done. If things were calm, I felt off, like I was forgetting something, which really is just a sneaky way to say I don't feel valuable unless I was doing. I wasn't good enough to stop because I must be doing something wrong. Today, we're going to talk about connection being the new productivity. And if you've been feeling like you're doing all the freaking things, especially after this holiday season, checking all the boxes, keeping everyone else alive, but you still feel really disconnected from yourself and your people and your life, this one's for you. We're going to redefine productivity in a way that actually supports your mental health and your emotional health. We're going to talk about why connection is becoming the new measure of success. And I'll give you a few simple, doable practices to build more connection, even if you're busy and tired and overstimulated, as most of us are. And a quick note I want to say is that this is educational. I'm not a therapist, but I hope it feels grounded and practical and it feels like a therapeutic space, but it is not a replacement for therapy. Okay, so let's start with the problem. Welcome to The Reclaimed Woman, the podcast for moms who are trying to heal, grow, break generational bullshit, and not lose their freaking minds in the process. I'm Jessica, a certified life coach, cycle breaker, mom, and honestly, probably the most recovered, but also still very much recovering overthinker that you've ever met. I've done the shame spirals, the overstimulation meltdowns, the why did that trigger me moments, and the oh my God, I am ruining my kid panic about 400 times a week. If you were drowning in the emotional load, overstimulated before you've even had a cup of coffee, spiraling because your kid brought out one too many Legos, or convinced that your reaction to a meltdown is going to damage them forever, dude, bestie, you are not at all. Around here, we talk about all the shit underneath all of the shit, yours and theirs. The nervous system overload, the generational wounds that sneak up at 8 a.m. for literally no reason, the emotional landmines that you step on while you're just trying to make breakfast, the patterns you're trying so damn hard to break, even when you have no idea what you're doing. There are zero perfect aesthetic mom vibes here. Absolutely not. Just real women doing real healing in real time. The freaking boss ass women who are literally changing the world every time they choose something better for themselves and their families, even when it's messy, confusing, or straight up feral. This is your space to breathe and be human, and remember that you're not broken. You're overwhelmed and you're carrying more than anyone ever warned you about. And you don't have to do it all alone. So if you're ready to reclaim the parts of you that motherhood buried and trauma stole, rewrite the patterns that you inherited, and feel like yourself again, welcome. Pull up a chair, take a deep breath. You are exactly where you're supposed to be, even if everything feels like a beautiful, chaotic, absolute shit show. This is The Reclaimed Woman. Let's do this. Here's the truth that most of us were really never taught explicitly, but we learned anyway. Being productive meant being good. Being efficient meant being responsible. Being busy meant being valuable. And for a lot of us, especially moms, ADHDers, cycle breakers, that belief doesn't come from nowhere. It came from praise when you performed, safety when you were useful, attention when you achieved anything, and criticism or withdrawals, like silent treatments, when you slowed down or didn't provide exactly what someone else thought you needed to. In past generations, some of the language, while with good intent, created really the opposite narrative because our brain likes to fill in those blanks. So, good job. You're so smart. Used exclusively for our achievements led us to believe that our intelligence or our goodness was contingent on a specific outcome rather than our effort or our character. Or how about nothing that's worth anything is easy? Oh my gosh. While this is meant to encourage perseverance, they instilled belief that comes up is that struggle is the only path to value, dismissing the entire worth of enjoyment or natural talent And it creates like this fear of things that come easily, really, because then we've removed the value from things that come easy to us or that we just enjoy for the full sake of enjoying it. And then there's this one, practice makes perfect. That implies that anything less than perfection is a failure. When you're linking value directly to flawless output rather than the learning process, you are making everything that isn't perfect or considered perfect a failure. And the craziest part about all of this is that perfection is subjective. Everybody has a different idea of what perfection looks like. And so all of that made it become about worth. Everything that we were trying to achieve was because of our worth. It all had to be tied back to how valuable we were, which is why not finishing the thing doesn't just feel annoying. It feels like a personal attack. Like, I dropped the ball. I'm a failure. I can't get it together. Why is this so hard for me? But I want you to sit with this for a minute. You don't feel bad because the task isn't done. You feel bad because somewhere along the line, your value got tied to activity and completion. We have been taught that productivity equals output. More tasks, more hustle, more optimization. And let me tell you, this is exactly how I found my coach to begin with was anti-hustle culture in an MLM. Man alive, did I know I wanted to do something different and I didn't want to be hustling all the time just to try to build a business. That's a side rant. But here's what nobody tells you until you hit a freaking wall. You can have the cleanest calendar, the best morning routine, and the prettiest to do list with all the little sticky notes and still feel so empty. Because human beings are not machines. We're wired for belonging. That is literally what we were created for, to belong and to connect and to be with each other in a community. And when connection drops, what rises? Irritability, burnout, resentment, scrolling, coping mechanisms that are not healthy, feeling like you're too much and yet not enough at the exact same time. Let me tell you, I have had many, many times in my life where I thought I was crushing it. And on paper, I was crushing it. But I felt so distant and just checked out. The last job I had, I started part time. I wanted a part time job just to make up some supplemental income. And I was like, this will be great. And then the job seemed relatively easy. And had the opportunity to add more of my emotional flair to it. And I, within 2 weeks, was moved up to full time. And then within a month, was moved up to salary. And they just put me right in that position. And I was like, yeah, this is fine. It's not even going to be a big deal for me to work this many hours with my kids at home and I homeschool and I do all these things. I was like, it will be totally fine. And in the beginning, I actually really liked the job, so I didn't mind it quite as much. But then as time went on, not only did the job get more miserable, but because I was on edge so much with my work environment, I was trying to perform better to not be in a place of losing my job or dealing with the disruption of whatever, that I was literally hidden in my office all the time. I was barely eating. I would give the girls like quick food and then go right back into my office and and I mean, my door's open. It's not like I'm like far away from them, but they're like watching TV and I'm just chilling in my office the whole time. Can't leave my desk. And I was so snappy and mean and burnt out and depressed. And I was also postpartum, so I was hormonal. And when the reality is, what I needed to do was take time away from this job or lower my hours, which I did want to try to do. But that's a whole other story of how many times I got screwed over there and how many times they just tried to block every avenue I tried to take without leaving. Um, that's a whole other story, but like I needed to back off of that. And instead, I was disconnecting from everybody around me, and it just made things that much harder. So, when I say connection is the new productivity, I'm meaning the ability to create and sustain connection is now one of the most valuable life skills because it directly affects your capacity to show up in every other area of your life. For a lot of us, unfinished things directly impact our basic human need for acceptance, which makes us feel unstable, insecure, shameful, self doubting. And then it brings up old narratives that we weren't good enough without being of service to others, which then reiterates the feeling like we weren't accepted. And so we may isolate or work harder. And then the cycle just repeats itself. This is especially true if you have ADHD or executive dysfunction, where the effort does not equal the output. Let me tell you. Okay. You can try really hard, really freaking hard. You could try all the routines and the planners and all the things that everyone is telling you to just do and still not finish. You can, and I know this from personal experience, you can sit on your couch with your toddler near you, staring at the mess, and scream to yourself in your head how big of a piece of crap you are and how terrible you are because you just need to clean your house and it's not that hard. Why are you being so lazy? And still not be able to do it. And if worth is tied to finishing the things and doing the things, that's fucking brutal. I want to zoom out because you can literally see culture craving this. In the last episode, we talked about the Pinterest predicts based on all the user search behavior and what people are looking for, right? Because Pinterest is a search engine. In their 2026 report, the sourcing noted that it was from like September 2023 to August 2025 or whatever. But one trend in particular is basically a big fat neon sign pinpointing to what people want next. Pen pals. What? Pinterest described a letter writing renaissance. Searches like cute stamps was up 105%, and snail mail gifts was up 110. And they're climbing. It's not just a stationary moment, it's literal cultural longing for slowness, tension, tangible connection, communication that's not optimized and instant, and something that's more heart led and meaningful when you look at it. In other words, people are craving some depth again. And if you're a mom, a leader, a business owner, all of this matters because depth is what is going to restore you and restore us as a society. You can't build a meaningful life on disconnection. You just can't. You can build a busy one, a successful looking one, but not a meaningful one. There's got to be a different way to measure this. If our old way of thinking based in productivity has us asking ourselves, what did you cross off your list? How hard did you push? Did you keep it together? Did you finish the laundry or whatever? Your new version of productivity should be asking, did I treat myself with basic humanity today? Did I feel connected instead of replaceable? Did I stay on my own side even when today wasn't the best? Did I have my own back? Do I have compassion for myself? Do I have empathy for myself? Where did that show up in my day? Because a life built on worth based productivity will always feel like a glass house. It's always going to feel fragile. One sick kid, one bad night of sleep, one off week is going to make you spiral. Suddenly, your entire sense of value shatters. So let's break down connection into three places it has to exist, or you're going to keep falling behind or feeling like you're falling behind. Connection to yourself. If you're constantly overriding your needs, you are going to resent your life and the people around you. I know, I've been there. Connection at home. If home is feeling tense and everything else feels heavy and like a fight and all of those things, you're not going to feel good. You just can't. You can't feel good being in a safe space or a place that's supposed to be safe that feels heavy and hard all the time. Connection to your community. If you're doing things alone, it will eventually cost you. It will. So let's make these things practical. I have 5 ways to make connection your new productivity system. Okay. 5 things that you can start implementing. Number 1 is a 2-minute return, which is a connection to yourself. Ask yourself, this is for the mom who can't take a bubble bath, meditate for 30 minutes, or even drink water out of a glass cup. Where are my ladies at? Hey, that's me. Twice a day, ask, where am I holding tension? What do I need in the next 10 minutes? And then do one teeny tiny little baby step thing. Relax your shoulders. Take your tongue off the roof of your mouth. My thing lately has been taking my front teeth and just like holding them together. My gosh. And then it like flexes my jaw and I look like I'm pissed off all the time. Drives me crazy. But it could be lowering your shoulders and like just a nice little exhale. Stepping outside for 60 seconds. I've been known to do that too. Drinking water. I have not been known to do because I hate water, but we all know water's good for you. You should do it. Don't follow in my footsteps. Put your hand on your chest and say, I'm here, I'm good, or, whatever you need to hear in that moment. This is actually productivity because it protects the capacity you have to perform. It's all a ripple effect. Now, the micro moment rule. This is connection for the home. We think connection requires a big date night or a perfect family day, but connection is built in micro moments. And thank God, because life is crazy. So maybe you just make eye contact a little bit more when you're talking to your spouse or your children. Maybe you soften your tone or tell a joke or play with someone's hair, touch their shoulder, have them tell you more and pick one little moment. Pick 10 minutes of undistracted presence, no phones, no multitasking, just you and the other person, maybe taking a walk and just talking, or they have what's called a high low dinner where you talk about the high point and the low points of your day, or sitting on a bed for 5 minutes at bedtime and asking just a real open ended question that you can listen to the response. One of the things that I do is even if I'm working and I'm sitting on the couch and I'm on my computer, I have to put my legs over my husband. I have to. And I actually had seen this thing about like how ADHD love is a little bit different because we need like all the love languages. And so sometimes quality time doesn't have to be like as intentional all the time. Obviously, we need the intentional time, but sometimes it can literally just be being in the same room and scrolling your phone together, but you feel more loved that way than not like touching or being next to each other. And it's such a true thing I've noticed about how I show up. Even if like my husband's doing the laundry, like I'll go lay on the bed while he's folding laundry and just talk with him because I'm just clingy as hell like that. But there's so many different ways that don't have to be big things that help you build connection. And repair is your productivity tool because rupture wastes all of our energy. This might be the most important line in the entire episode. Repair prevents emotional debt. When we don't repair, we carry around tension for hours or days, and the tension drains our focus, our creativity, our patience, and our joy. So, there's three things you can do that you can use with your kid or your partner that relate to your repair. You name it, things were intense. You own it. I didn't like how I talked to you, and I'm sorry. You reconnect. Can we restart? Can we start over? Do you want a hug or space? That is connection. And connection restores our capacity faster than guilt and shame ever will. Building slow connection on purpose. This is that like pen pal kind of energy. Build slow connection on purpose. Remember that Pinterest pen pals trend that turned into build slow connection on purpose. So the Pinterest pen pals thing I was talking about with the snail mail and the stamps and all that stuff, people are craving that slower connection. So let's bring that into our real lives in a way that doesn't require extra time that you don't really have, right? Pick one. It could be a voice note to a friend once a week, a real text that isn't LOL, name, K, or a thumbs up, but something like, I'm proud of you, or that's amazing, tell me more, or just something intentional. Mail a postcard to whoever you want. Just mail something out once a month. Keep connection stationery in a drawer and write one note when you're thinking of someone. Just something simple, something little. Just write a note and send it to those people or put it in an envelope and give it to your spouse or whoever's in your family just whenever you're thinking of them. This is how you rebuild that community without overwhelming your schedule. Just do it in your little pockets of time. It's thoughtful and it's doable. And it's backed by the fact that people are searching for it. That shit is rising for a reason. Put connection. If connection is extra, it's going to disappear. So you have to make it a system. Put it in your calendar as if it's a meeting because it is. A weekly walk with a friend, standalone, a standing phone call with someone, a monthly living room dinner, a no phone window from 6 to 7 or whatever. You don't need more time. You just need protected time. You need to find a way to make the best use of the time you have because what you protect becomes your life. If you're listening and you're like, okay, but connection feels really freaking hard, or I don't even know what to do, like you're just feeling this resistance come up, here are the two most common reasons that pops up. One, you're already overstimulated. So your nervous system doesn't want any more input. It's like, I just need some freaking safety and some peace. Start with the self connection first, if that's the case, just 2 minutes, and then you can build outward. You got to know where to start. And so sometimes it's just the awareness and allowing yourself to be with yourself. And number two, you have been so strong for so long and you're burnout. Of course, vulnerability feels risky when you're already burnout and you've been known as the strong one. But healing really looks like letting yourself be seen even in those small ways. It's not a weakness to be vulnerable with someone and tell them that you're not okay and you need someone to sit with you or hold you or make you a meal. If you take one thing away from today, please let it be this. Our connection to ourselves and each other is not a luxury. It is all the infrastructure. And in 2026 and beyond, the people who thrive are not going to be people who do the most. They're going to be the people who stayed connected to themselves and their people and to a life that feels like it's sustainable. Your challenge this week is really freaking simple. Not easy, maybe, but simple. Pick one connection practice and do it for 7 days. It could be the 2-minute return. It could be your micro moments. It could be just repairing when you inevitably snap once in a while and get that bitchy tone that you just swore you'd never have. If you want, you could text me the word connect and I will send you my connection over productivity mini checklist and you can save it on your phone. Or I have a nervous system repeat trigger playbook. So if you feel like you're the kind of person that's like, okay, great, I want to connect, but I'm always triggered, this is going to be fire for helping you track those triggers and figure out how to disrupt the pattern. I will link it in the show notes if you're interested in that. But until next time, take a breath and let your shoulders relax. And remember that you don't have to earn your worth through doing all the shit all the time. Alrighty, friend, that is it for today's episode. And if you needed this, same. Truly, if this episode hit home for you, share it with another mom who's in the trenches right now. We are building a community, one that many of us never had, and your voice helps so much more than you know. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on what's coming next. And if you feel like leaving a review, I won't say no. All right, babe, take a breath, drink some water, give yourself some grace, and I will catch you on the next episode. Keep reclaiming yourself and your family, one messy, magical step at a time.